And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. It is a TGIF version, and thank God it is Friday here, presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey, bangtail.com or easyliquor.com. Get that bottle sent directly to your door. And of course, over there, Honky Tonk Texas, a little dance hall there in Silsbee. Check them out at honkytonktexas.us out there too. And of course, with the Friday, we'll have another great slew of shows next week on the show. Josh Turner coming by here on Tuesday. Looking forward to that, presented by our friends over at SandyJuneMusic.com studios too as well, bringing us Josh Turner here on the Backstage Pass out there. Check out Sandy's music at SandyJuneMusic.com. Pleased to welcome in my featured artist of the day. Love his new album called Side Effects of the Heart. I think we all feel that way sometimes because the heart does give us side effects. Alex Hall to the Backstage Pass. Alex, what's going on, man?
Oh man, just happy to be here today. You doing well?
Doing well, man. It's Friday, and I'm just at the weekend here. I got a football game to do tonight to broadcast and some other stuff. So, hence sports, music, and we got a win-win situation, right? So,
yeah, man, that's awesome. That's a good Friday night.
Which is good. Hey, let's talk about this and dive into the deep end of the pool because this album is fantastic. I love it too, and definitely the song really, sets it from the tone of the top of it. Side Effects of the Heart to your duet with fantastic artists, 11-time Grammy nominated Brandy Clark, which is a great song in itself. Woman and Horses. Tell us about the project, and just finally, I know for you, it's just good to get this album out to the public, right?
It is very good to get it out to the public. I've been at this music journey for quite a while, but I've been really started this record about 4 years ago when I signed with Monument Records, and then the pandemic happened and a million other things got thrown at us. But here we are, and it's out now. And man, really, the Brandy thing is amazing because on Women and Horses, that's the first song that her and I ever wrote together, actually, and we were set to be going out on tour back in 2020. And then the pandemic, again, it happened. And so she was out in California. I was here in Nashville, and we got set up to write a song. And that was the first time we met. We were on a Zoom call, just kind of like this, I guess. And we just started kind of talking, and she had this idea called Women and Horses. And she had no idea that I grew up on a small horse farm. I was about a month out from getting married. So I was in this really emotional state of life and dealing with a lot of stuff, and then the pandemic going on and everything. And so we just started talking about how I grew up and the state of life I was in, and kind of what I grew up loving and listening, which was classic country music. And so we kind of wrote that song specifically as a little bit of like an ode to my mom and my sister and my wife and the horses that I grew up with as well. So, and then having her sing on it with me is pretty special as well. But I'm thrilled that the record's out. It feels good.
Doing pretty good so far too. Hey, tell me a little about your background. Growing up, and of course, different artists that you were listening to, and of course, everybody has that person that looked up to them or they looked up to growing up. Their family or a friend or something, and maybe schooling. They were in choir or music of that kind from a young age. Tell me where you drew the inspiration from to become an artist.
For me, it started immediately with Elvis Presley, and it's my first recollection of music, and I still don't to this day know exactly where it came from because my parents aren't big Elvis fans. They're pretty straightforward country music fans and some classic rock and stuff. But I found Elvis somehow, and it just really clicked, and I just wanted to grow up and be Elvis Presley. That's just all that I ever really wanted to do. So that was the bug for music for me, was that. And then, I got my first guitar when I was 5, and then I didn't really get into it until I was 14 and kind of kept going back and forth with it. But I really started learning when I was 14, but I had a middle school chorus teacher, who saw something special in me and really pushed me to like really take a real serious look at singing and being, doing music for a profession. And so he kind of helped guide me into that path when I was about 14 or 15 years old. And my parents and him came to Nashville with me for the first time when I was 15 and started writing songs and playing in bars and put a band together and started touring and everything else. And it's been a long journey from that. But I grew up riding horses. I grew up barrel racing and rodeoing most of my youth. And when I was 15, when I started playing in bars and stuff like that, is when I kind of traded the saddle in for the guitar and started playing shows.
When did you start kind of, knowing that, I want to play the guitar, picking up the instruments? Was there other instruments that kind of inspired you to do it too as well beside the guitar?
No, honestly, it's funny because the guitar for me was never something that I never set out to be a guitar player. I grew up listening to country music, but, I didn't know at the time that Vince Gill and Keith Urban and Brad Paisley and Waylon Jennings and all of these amazing folks were playing these guitar parts that I loved so much. I just thought they were just there. I didn't know. And so I just wanted to play guitar to accompany myself with the songwriting and singing because that's what I really loved. And then, years and years of bar band shows and all the stuff. And a day of a gig, a guitar player would not show up, or somebody wouldn't show up. And so I just out of instinct had to learn how to do it, just playing these 3-hour long bar sets and stuff, and really fell in love with the guitar by necessity more so than the fact that I loved it, but it connected with me so quickly and so fast that I fell in love with it. So there was never really another instrument. There still really isn't. I love, playing around on a piano or anything with strings, but I definitely am a guitar player. And that's my instrument, but it was by accident, really. I didn't do it because I loved the guitar. I just wanted to sing.
I love those 90s greats that we talked about too. And my show's already endorsed by John Michael Montgomery, T. Graham Brown, and just so many great guys. Neil McCoy. You probably grew up listening to some of those guys. Were there others kind of on top of that particular kind of realm of stars out there too that you really said, Waylon Willie and Merle and Conway Twitty, kind of those factored in there too?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was all the classic stuff for me, and it still is. I say I've listened to Vince Gill specifically was a huge one for me. But anything from that world of Vince and Leanne Womack and Willie Nelson for sure, and Chris Christopherson, Waylon Jennings, and Merle Haggard, and all of that was genuinely the stuff that I really grew up listening to. And I was born in 1994, so I grew up listening to that early 2000s, mid 2000s country radio. So I definitely was influenced by the Brad Paisleys and Keith Urbans and all of those folks as well. But to this day, I still gravitate towards more back from the early 90s backwards, if you will. But yeah, it's always been that stuff, man. And I think that you can hear a lot of the influence of that on the record is, I do love the traditional classic country, but I also know that we're in 2023 and I love, a lot of modern stuff as well. So my goal is to just combine them and bring the past to the present and keep the present in the past and kind of, figure out a way to make that work.
Kind of as a newer artist in the scene, give me some of the challenges. Maybe some people don't see this, kind of things that go on behind the scene, but give me some of those challenges that you face as a newer artist out there too, as you kind of work your way up the ranks.
Man, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's survival at this moment. I mean, it's like, between which there's nothing wrong with streaming services and any of that. It's just the future of music and stuff. But it's finding ways to get paid and getting on tours and going out and playing shows. But then the world's in a crazy place still and all this stuff. So I think it's just like trying to continue to just make it work and meet the people and grow fan bases. And at a time where it's like you got to have the TikTok videos and all of the above. And it's all very true and very relevant and all of the above. But it just, to me, makes it having the tools and the access is incredible. But it also just makes it a little bit harder because it also means everybody also has the same tools and assets. And so I think it's just trying to break through that noise is the hardest part, because making music is easy. Yeah. That's the fun part. You got into it to play music and it is fun. And so it's like breaking through. That's the tricky part, so that's what we're still trying to do right now is break through.
That's just like in my line of work, man, with podcasting and radio, it never ends. Like I said, just be consistent. The easy part is doing the interviews. The hard part is maintaining success and breaking through and getting it out there and breaking that glass wall down too. Again, the album is Side Effects of the Heart from Alex Hall, and you can check him out across all the social media out there. And make sure you guys go get the album across all those digital platforms out there that you stream. We'll take a timeout. He'll grab one of those guitars behind him or in front of him, depending where it's at. He'll play a couple of tunes for us. Coming back, we'll have a tune here presented by our friends over at Banktail Whiskey, Honky Tonk, Texas, and from the SandyJuneMusic.com studios here. It is the Backstage Pass coming up here. More from our sponsors, more with Alex Hall. We're at HighTideCountry.net and powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Back in a flash.
The Bangtail Pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
The follow-up from Sandy June's Trouble Train single is out now. The new single from Sandy June, Whiskey Us Away.
Leave the bottle alone tonight. Let's try to make it right. Don't whiskey us away.
Whiskey Us Away from Sandy June is available everywhere. Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora. And make sure to connect with Sandy online. Look up Sandy June on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to her YouTube channel. And online at SandyJuneMusic.com.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here, Alex Hall. It is a Friday, TGIF, and of course, football weekend, American League Championship Series, National League Championship Series. Good time of year to be a sports fan and a music fan because we're closing out the year and still things are going strong right here. Back here with Alex on the show, presented by our friends from the SandyJuneMusic.com studios and Bangtail Whiskey, and our friends over at Honky Tonk Texas, the album Side Effects of the Heart. From Alex, go download across all the digital platforms. My friend, what's up first?
Man, I will start with the title track. I'll start with
There we
Side
go.
Effects of the Heart and go with that.
All right, it's all yours, brother. Take
Awesome.
it away.
From the first beat opening your eyes, that first breath, first kiss, feel a break for the first time. Some things in life you can't explain, no. It's the only one you got, but you still gotta give it away. Even strong ones are born unstable. It ought to come with a warning label. First comes love and then comes the lonely. Then you're climbing up the walls till the phone rings. You're in heaven, then you're dying. Then you're just so happy that you can't stop crying. There's no cure for it, and that's the hardest part. We're all a mess living with the side effects of the heart. Yeah. I spend nights with an angel on my chest. I woke up many a morning with whiskey on my breath. It's great when it's good as hell when it's bad, but there ain't no prescription for that. First comes love and then comes the lonely. Then you're climbing up the walls till the phone rings. You're in heaven, then you're dying. Then you're just so happy that you can't stop crying. There's no cure for it, and that's the hardest part. We're all a mess living with the side effects of the heart. Can't sleep, can't eat, you're losing weight. Your friends all think you're crazy. Night sweats, drunk texts, old love regrets. You're not yourself lately. First comes love and then comes the lonely. Then you're climbing up the walls till the phone rings. You're in heaven, then you're dying. Then you're just so happy that you can't stop crying. There's no cure for it, and that's the hardest part. We're all a mess living with the side effects of the heart. Oh yeah, we're all a mess living with the side effects of the heart.
I love it here. Alex Hall on the Backstage Pass, Side Effects of the Heart, current title track of the album across all the digital platforms. We're presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, Honky Tonk Texas from the SandyJuneMusic.com studios here. Alex, kind enough to join us today. Talk music, keep artistry alive. And there's so much talent in Nashville. It's crazy right now how many great singers there are going on, too, as well. Hey, that would seem like it just came naturally, like in the writing. Tell me about how this song kind of originated, the idea behind it, a little backstory.
Yeah, man. This song's had a long journey because, again, it's the title track of the record. But I'm from North Georgia, and I was driving back to Nashville with my wife a couple of years back, right before the pandemic actually started. And I always think a lot on that drive specifically, just because I've done it so many times. And there's something about leaving the home you grew up with and going back to the home that you live at now and all of the above. And I was just driving, and I had this idea of Side Effects of the Heart just came to me. And I wasn't exactly sure what it meant, but I loved the phrase. And so I held on to it. I thought about it. And I just knew that that's what I was going to name the record. I didn't intend to write it as a song. And I was writing with two of the guys that I've worked with a lot, Pete Good and AJ Babcock. And we had another writer that day. His name's Josh Osborne. And Josh is a huge songwriter, one of the biggest writers in country music history, really. And I'd never written with him. He's a huge hero of mine. So I was nervous and all of the above. And we go in and I just was like, oh, we're going to write this big old hit. We're going to write a smash because it's Josh Osborne and it's going to be awesome. And we get in there and nobody has any ideas, not one. And not him, not Pete, not anybody. And so I'm just like, oh, I've got this like Side Effects of the Heart thing, but I don't really know. Like, to me, it was more of like a very heady idea, if you will. And so, but I was like, I can't leave this right with Josh Osborne without a song. And so I threw the idea out there. I kind of told them what was going on with me back home with my family, my parents, and the life that was happening back there. And, you know, I was about to get married, and there were all of these ups and downs in my life going on. And we just started talking about what Side Effects of the Heart meant. And we did write it really quickly. I mean, we wrote the song, I would say, in under 45 minutes once we got rolling on it. Because it is like, if you listen to it, it's pretty chronological from verse to the end of the song of like what the side effects of the heart are. And that's, you know, falling in love and heartbreak and chasing a dream and giving your heart away. And all of the above, and just kind of all of the ups and downs that you deal with in life. And so that's what we wrote. And we loved it from the day we wrote it. And 3.5 years later, it finally is out. So here we are.
Hey, I got to ask you about another one from the record. Again, Side Effects of the Heart across all the digital platforms, from Alex Hall joining us here on the Backstage Pass. I know a guy. This had a good feel to it for me, and definitely ranks right up there for me, like a 90s country feel that I love about it too, because I've heard a lot of great feedback on this particular tune.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. That one's fun too, man, because I wrote it again with Josh Osborne. And then I had Shane McAnally on that song with me as well as Pete Good. And we went into the write that day. We wrote 2 songs in this setting. We wrote I Know a Guy, we started it, wrote the next song on the record, which is Denim and Diamonds. In between finishing I Know a Guy and that, we wrote that one in about 25, 30 minutes, and then got back to I Know a Guy and finished it, which is just, it's crazy. Sometimes it just happens that way, and then sometimes it can take months to finish a song. But I Know a Guy was one that, you know, I knew, being with Shane and Josh that day, that I was very intentional for me, that I was trying to write something that I knew they were great at. And they are so good at writing songs that feel great, that are also clever and all of the above. And so yeah, we wanted to write a feel good song, and something that kind of was autobiographical about me. And so, you know, every line and the thing is like, you know, California Breeze from Tennessee is like, my wife and I live here. She's from Nashville, Tennessee, but we like eloped out in California because of the pandemic. So because we love Southern California. And so there's little nuggets of our story hidden in the whole song. And so it is fun because it is the most lighthearted and kind of fun-spirited song of the record, and it just happens to all be autobiographical as well. So it was pretty fun.
How songs originate and where they come from, and the stories behind them. Like I said, classic stuff there too. We'll take another time out here from the SandyJuneMusic.com studios, and for our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey, and of course HonkyTonkTexas.us. More from Alex Hall here on the Backstage Pass. We're also at HighTideCountry.net. And out there, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com, live on that very website as of right now, and YouTube, and everywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us there as of the Backstage Pass. More with Alex Hall coming back in performance, and then it's growing every day. Rapid fire coming up here on the Backstage Pass. We'll talk hobbies, music, sports. You never know what we'll get into in rapid fire too. First stage to step on, dream stage to step on. It all goes hand in hand here on the Backstage Pass. Quick timeout. More with Alex Hall coming right back.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
The follow-up from Sandy June's Trouble Train single is out now. The new single from Sandy June, Whiskey Us Away.
Leave the bottle alone tonight. Let's try to make it right. Don't whiskey us away.
Whiskey Us Away from Sandy June is available everywhere. Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora. And make sure to connect with Sandy online. Look up Sandy June on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to her YouTube channel. And online at SandyJuneMusic.com.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here from the SandyJuneMusic.com studios out there too. And of course, our friends at Bangtail Whiskey and Honky Tonk Texas. Don't forget next week coming up here on the show Tuesday. Sometime that day we'll connect. Josh Turner right here on the Backstage Pass. Looking forward to talking about his greatest hits album. It came out September the 8th. So a lot of those classics he brought back. And then some. We'll talk to Josh. And of course, here in a couple of weeks, she's renowned singer-songwriter Carolyn Dawn Johnson. Blast from the Past will be here Halloween, I believe, October the 31st. So a good way to kind of get out there and just continue to grow. And of course, to put the best artist out there for any show out there too as well. Back here with Alex Hall on the show, presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and of course, Honky Tonk Texas. Brother, it's all yours. And the second track from the record, Side Effects of the Heart. Take it away.
All righty, man. I'm going to play Women and Horses here. We'll do this.
Go.
Her eyes are the prettiest straight and wild that you've ever seen. Her voice is the sweetest song on her honeysuckle breeze. Her heart is a tumbleweed you're gonna wanna hold. But if you wanna keep her, you gotta let her roll. 'Cause big skies and sunsets ain't meant to be broken. That kind of beauty is meant to be soaked in. Don't fence in her freedom. Leave the gate open. 'Cause women and horses ain't meant to be broken. She'll give you the reins and let you take the lead. She'll even give you her hand if that's what she needs. You might think she's tied down, but she'll never be tamed. No. Tying down love like her would be a damn shame. Yes, it would. 'Cause big skies and sunsets ain't meant to be looked in. That kind of beauty is meant to be soaked in. Don't fence in her freedom. Leave the gate open. 'Cause women and horses ain't meant to be broken. You might have to watch her walk away. There'll come some on some Sunday. Oh, but if you let her run, she might never run away. Don't fence in her freedom. Leave the gate open. ain't meant to be broken.
And that's a feel of a 90s country song. I don't know what is. That is
Oh man,
90s country song. You can take your significant other out to your local dance hall, preferably honkytonktexas.us down here if you're in Silsbee, Texas, down here. Because in Texas, we do it big. You know that. And we take our lady out to the dance floor. We hold her hand and we listen to Alex Hall on the dance floor out there called Women and Horses here on the Backstage Pass that features Brandy Clark, 11-time Grammy nominated. Hard to believe. She is so fantastic out there. We got to get her here on the show too, because her vocals and yours stand out really on that track. Again, the album Side Effects of the Heart across all the digital platforms. Make sure you guys go check that out too. Hey, I got to ask you about this one before I get into rapid fire, but off the record too. This is awesome. Dad Now. I love this one because really just ended the record so well done. And the production of this, the album's a great production in the studio. You can tell your producers did a really good job of just really bringing these songs out. Tell us about Dad Now.
Well, I actually produced the record as well, so I'm a big part of all of that. So, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But Dad Now is a special one, and it's the last song that I finished last of all the songs on the record, and I originally had planned on it being dead center, and it would be the last song before we skipped to the side B of what the record would be on vinyl, and it just didn't feel right there, and so we thankfully decided to put it at the very end of the record, and I think that it fits. And that song, it's really the story of my wife and I got married in November of 2020. And we got pregnant in December and found out we were pregnant in January.
Oh, wow.
And so it all came very quickly. And we wanted kids. We definitely knew we wanted to have kids, but we just weren't sure when that time was going to be. And it was clearly very, very quick and sooner than we had anticipated. And so that song is just about the emotional journey, really, of what it has been from the point of finding out, that my wife was pregnant and that we, had a positive pregnancy test and we were going to have a little baby boy, to what it was like to have the baby, to then what it's like to now become a dad 2 years into it all. And the fun thing about that song for me is personally, it's obviously a personal song. I wrote it. It's my story, but it's the first time I feel like as a songwriter that I have had a song that continues to grow with me, if that makes sense at all. The farther along that I become a dad, and the more that I learn about the kind of dad that I want to become, and I feel like that'll probably never change. I just continue to learn what that is, and I'm sure every dad or mom does, and stuff. That the song means more in different ways to me every year, every month that I hear it again or get to play it again or whatever it is. So it's really special. And just a side note on the production side of it too, just to say is the whole track on that one actually is myself and my wife is playing violin on it. She grew up playing classical violin and retired it in college. And I really hadn't even heard her play very many times, but I really wanted her to play on that song. And so the whole track is just myself and my wife. And then our little boy makes a guest appearance there at the end of the song.
I love that. That's
but yeah, so it's really special. It's a special one.
And coming from, had my first, she just turned 3.5. So it's like
nice,
dad of a daughter. And it honestly, man, it hits you out of nowhere. So that's why I felt such a strong, just personal feel for me for that song too. So definitely.
That's awesome.
Congrats. And it's crazy how it does come full circle, because the man upstairs knows more than we do down here. And so when it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen here. Hey, for a little rapid fire, I got to ask you, what do you like to do for fun when you're not doing music? What are some of the hobbies?
I love photography. I've always loved cameras and stuff, but I've really gotten into old film photography and stuff. So I travel around. I've always got some sort of a camera with me. So I really have been getting into that a lot. And then I love vintage everything, clothes, cameras, watches, boots, you name it. I love just old stuff. Hence the music and everything else as well. So I love grabbing a cup of coffee and going and finding a vintage store or whatever, whether that's in Nashville or we're on tour and find one, whatever. But that's really it, man. I love playing guitar. I love music and stuff. So like I play guitar for fun. I love hanging out with my family and stuff. So those are really all of my hobbies still somewhat center around the music idea. It's just I've been doing it for so long and I love it. So yeah.
I love it. Hey, music is no doubt about it. Make a living at it and enjoy it at the same time. That's what I do with this thing here. Nothing wrong with that too. So give me some of those favorite restaurants there in Nashville. I got to go the last couple of years, and there's places I haven't gone to yet, but Where are some of your favorite eating out places?
Oh man, we have some great restaurants in Nashville. Sushi, I love this place called gosh, now I'm not gonna think of anything now that you just said it. What is that place called? I can't even remember. I don't know. It's really good though. It's
That's all that matters.
you know what I mean? It's my brain is blanking. There's a sushi place in Germantown here that it's a little pricey, but it's so good, and they fly the fish in fresh all the time and stuff. But I love that place. There's a hole in the wall Mexican restaurant in the middle of town called Cinco de Mayo. If you're going for that kind of thing, I absolutely love it. It's my favorite kind of food to eat is Mexican food. Probably I could live off of it. And then, man, if I'm going just like, complete comfort food, probably at McDougal's fried chicken.
Yeah, I've heard about
their
that.
fried chicken tossed into buffalo sauce and oh man, so good. We have too many good restaurants.
Yeah, it does. The last two CRS that I've covered, the last two CRSs up there that we've been to, I got in line at the Hattie B's, and I got a phone call, and to get out, and I wasn't going to get back in once I got out.
Oh man,
and then a couple other places we did some upscale stuff too as well, and took the team out and did some other stuff. But it's fun because you can stay in town a week and not eat at every favorite place that you have there in town. Like,
gosh, I've been here for nearly almost 10 years now, and I definitely haven't even touched the surface of it. But then it's hard about it too, is you find places that you love, and then you're like, you want to go back to them again because you love it so much. So it's like it's hard to go try somewhere else. And so it's like it's a tricky thing, especially, I mean, as Nashville continues to grow, we do, the tourism is awesome. It's great for the city, but it also has made it hard to be a local in the city.
Yeah.
But it has brought some amazing restaurants into the city and chefs and all of the above too. So it's a good problem to have.
It really is, no doubt too. And then the problem is I go back to my favorite restaurant and I could never find anything new on the menu to order because I always order the same thing I ordered before because it's my favorite.
And that's I guess the goal. They want to reel you in so you come back.
Yeah, hey man, you got to eat at some point, right? If you don't cook it yourself, you got to make sure that you eat out, no doubt too. Hey, let me ask you this: as far as goals and things as we close the year and going into 2024, obviously you guys are sure working on the next project, new music, singles, a full-length album, EP, what have you. Tell me about some goals set as you close this year and what you're looking forward to most in 2024.
Man, we just put out Side Effects of the Heart back September 15th. So really promoting that. I'm fixing to actually announce my own tour that I'm doing on my own, which is going to be great. I think we're doing like 12 dates across the country. And then I've got some Christmas music coming, which will be fun. But we're gearing up to go to country radio, which is my first entry into country radio at the top of next year. So I'm just really gearing up for that. So my goal is really just to continue to prepare myself as good as I can and get this music out to the masses. And like I was saying earlier, just keep breaking through, just keep on pushing through the tunnel.
Well, you're doing that and then some too as well. And I love this album. It is fantastic out there too. Real country music down to its core. It's Side Effects of the Heart. It's Alex Hall here, and check him out on social media. Make sure you give him a like, and of course, go follow him as far as tour dates and announcements as they come through all the social media. Brother, enjoyed the chat. Let's do it again, and hope you had a great time.
Thanks so much. It was a pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Alex Hall here on the Backstage Pass, presented by our friends over at Banktail Whiskey, Honky Tonk, Texas, and from the SandyJuneMusic.com studios here too. We'll see you guys next week. Josh Turner coming by on Tuesday. And, of course, a whole lot of other great interviews coming up next week here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com, and, of course, out there to friends at HighTideCountry.net. We'll see you soon. Coming up Monday about 4 o'clock. We actually have a double dip Monday, 2 shows back-to-back. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.